This is the Louie T Network.
The Redskins Report.
Welcome, all my fellow Redskin brethren and sistren. I am your man and resident Redskins fan, Lou. Thank you for joining me here on the Redskins Report. So, I want to do a little something different today. Didn't give you a breakdown of the Denver game. I didn't feel it was necessary. Again, I didn't think we were going to win the game. I didn't pull any punches. I didn't sugarcoat anything last week when I came to you guys. I told you I didn't expect us to win. But I'll address everything. And I want to go with a different format today. And this is essentially what I'm going to do. It's Friday again. You know how I am about Fridays. You have a Friday. I have a Friday. We all have a Friday. Don't want to keep you here too long. Want to get straight to the point and let you get out of here and get to whatever it is you want to do, whether it's Friday when you see this, Saturday, whatever the case may be. You've got something to do. Your time is precious. So is mine. So let's get right to it. I got a couple of things that I want to address here on the program today. I'll start with the Denver game. I'll gloss over that. I don't want to spend a lot of time on that. That's old news now. The prospects for the season and where we are as a football team and what I think we can accomplish and what I think is out of our reach at this point for this 2013 campaign of the Washington Redskins. The San Diego Chargers, which is the upcoming game on Sunday. What do we need to do to get a win there? And then I want to move on to the state of the franchise. We're in week 9. We're going into week 9, which means after this game, it has been completed. We would have played 8 games, which means half of the season is done. So now I want to take a look at where we are as a franchise and things that we need to improve on and what the state of the Redskins franchise is right now in week 9, 2013 season and moving forward. So let's gloss over the Denver game real quick. Look, I thought we were going to lose. I said we were going to lose. I didn't expect to win that game. I went into that game with lowered expectations. Anything that I got out of that game that was a positive, hey, great. But I was talking to a Miami Dolphins fan online, and he essentially said, hey, they were up 17-3. They were up 14-0 in that game against the Patriots in week 8. And he said, I much rather would have been blown out of that game from start to finish than to be teased and to be tricked and to be hoodwinked into thinking that we were going to win that football game by having a 14-point lead. And I won't say that I felt that way, but I actually started thinking about what if? What if we win this game? I never allowed myself to feel like, hey, we're up 14, we're going to win this game. Because our offense was funky all game. We were inconsistent. And you know, like that, Peyton and company can turn it on. And that's exactly what happened. We started turning the football over. They started scoring points, and they just didn't stop. And so I really didn't appreciate the football gods teasing us with that 14-point lead, though. 21-7. We're kind of dominating the game, especially from a defensive standpoint. I thought the comment that was made by a fellow Redskin fan, Jay Moo, and Jay Moo basically came out and said, man, who would have thought the defense and the special teams actually played well and the offense was the culprit and the part of the team that let us down. What a shame, And I think that sums it up. I mean, I couldn't have said it any better myself. You went into the game thinking the special teams, Trendon Holiday and company, are absolutely going to annihilate our special teams. Peyton Manning is going to dice up our defense and make us look like our defense is Swiss cheese with a bunch of holes in it, and our offense is going to try to keep us afloat in this game, but it won't be enough. That was the assumption going into the game. But as is the case with this Redskins team, you don't know what you're getting from week to week. And the defense stepped up. The special teams kept it relatively quiet. Joshua Morgan actually made a play on special teams. Hey, go figure. Who would have thought? Special teams actually makes a positive play, has a positive impact on the game. So from a special teams standpoint, special teams for us was essentially a non-factor, and that's a good thing. I mean, when special teams doesn't impact the game negatively for us, that's a positive as far as we're concerned. So To think that the defense actually was a bright spot and the special teams didn't do anything noteworthy, hell, we should be in the game then. But the offense was atrocious. We turned it over 4 or 5 times in this game, and you lose 45-21. You give up 38 unanswered points, and you lose the game. So, I mean, again, I don't have much to say about that. We performed poorly. We stopped running the ball again. Alfred Morris was having a field day, and we just absolutely stopped running the ball. Why? I don't know. I'm tired of asking the question of why we're not running the ball when we're up in games, when we're close in games, when the football game is in the balance and the running game has been successful. Why we go away from it? I'll never be able to explain that. But I do know this. Robert was erratic in this game. And when he was on the money, guys were dropping the football. And so offensively, we were just a train wreck. And then, you know what? I'll get to that later. We lost the game 45-21, essentially sums it up. We were annihilated in the second half, especially in the fourth quarter where they dominated us thoroughly. And again, 38 unanswered points. Not much more to say than that. So we lose the football game. We go to 2-5 on the season. And so now I want to go from there to the prospects for this season. And look, I told you after this loss, because I thought we were going to lose, and I said after we lose this game, don't hang your head. Don't feel bad. We're supposed to lose this game. When the schedule came out, you knew we had to play Denver before the schedule was even released. That should have been a loss on your little outlook for the season anyway. When you were prognosticating games and you said, hey, the Redskins are going to be this and this, win-loss record, that was a loss anyway. So that shouldn't have changed either way. So prospects for the season. I told you in the preview for the Denver game last week that despite losing this game, I still felt good. But that was before the offense went out and put up one of these inconsistent performances. I thought we had turned the corner offensively. I really don't know what I'm getting from this offense from week to week. I don't know what I'm getting from Kyle Shanahan. He seems to be inconsistent in what he wants to call as a game plan and how he wants to go about running the football, passing the football. He's not moving the pocket enough. We're not running enough bootleg. Robert is a sitting duck back there in the pocket. He holds on to the ball too long. When he does throw it and it is on the money, guys are dropping the football. When he's got open guys like Josh Morgan again in that Denver game, he missed him. I mean, that could have been a touchdown if he hits Josh Morgan in stride. Instead, he throws it behind him, and it's an incomplete pass. So, I mean, we're just not in sync offensively. So I really don't know what to tell you in terms of offense for this team. But I will say this. We've got some winnable games. And I've said this from the jump. Get to 500. Don't talk to me. I don't even want to hear you. As a matter of fact, I don't hear you. Your voice falls on deaf ears with me. And I don't care what team it is in the National Football League. This includes my boys, the Redskins. If you're not at 500, I don't even hear you. Everything that you're saying to me falls on deaf ears. You're invisible to me. If you're not at 500, then you're not even worth talking to. So I'm not listening to you if you're not at 500. So in the Redskins case, we need to reel off 3 consecutive wins just to get back to 5-5 and get back to respectability and then start to threaten the Cowboys or whoever's in first place at that time. And I think the only team that can be in first place at that time is the Cowboys. So in order for us to threaten the Cowboys and feel like we have a shot, because only one team from this division is making the postseason. I think you already know that by now. And that's the team that wins the division. There are no wild cards coming out of this division. This is a pathetic division this year. We stink. And so as a whole division, only one team is coming out of here. And that's the divisional winner. So we got to set our sights on winning the East. That's the only way you get into the show this year. That's the only way you get a ticket to the dance. So for me, the next 3 games are critical. It's crucial, and we got to have every single one of them. We can't win one, look impressive doing so, lose one, then win again. We can't go on this, back and forth roller coaster. We need to win 3 consecutive games and start to build some momentum. And this is the stretch of the season where we got to do it. If we're going to make a move, it's now. The time is now. Look at the schedule. If you don't believe me, look at the schedule and tell me when we will have another opportunity to reel off 3 consecutive games, get to 500, and build confidence and momentum from that point forward. Look at the schedule and tell me when there's a stretch where you say, hey, that's a winnable, and that's a winnable game right there. There's not another stretch in this season. So we got to win all three of these games. It starts with San Diego. This is going to be a tough game. All right? So, for me, the prospect for the season is that we're still good. We're still good. But we got to have this San Diego game. So, right now, I still feel like we can win the NFC East. It's still wide open. The Cowboys had a chance to distance themselves from everybody in the division. They lose to Detroit. So, we're still right there. Believe it or not, we're only a game or two away. We're one game in the loss column away from Dallas. And we're a couple of wins away from them in the win column. So, believe it or not, we're only about 2.5 games, 2 games away from the Cowboys in the division. So, and we still got the Cowboys once. And they got to come to us. So, look, there's plenty of season left. This division stinks. You don't know what's going to happen. I'm still confident that we can win the East. But San Diego is the objective right now. We got to find a way to win this game against the Chargers. They're playing good football. Phillip Rivers is putting up career numbers. He's been rejuvenated. This offense looks a lot like the San Diego Chargers offense that was threatening to win the AFC conference and get to the Super Bowl. They're playing at a very high level right now. They're coming off a bye week, so that makes it a little bit more difficult. But for me this year, bye weeks have meant nothing. Teams have lost coming off of byes this year, so I don't really make much of that. But they are traveling from West to East Coast, and we do know that that does have effects on different teams. And so that's something that will work in our favor. I look at it like this. Forget about that. Forget about all the off-the-field stuff. On the field, we got to get it done. We got to force turnovers. We got to play smart football. We got to convert third downs. We got to catch the football. We can't turn it over. We got to be smart. We got to have a game plan and stick to it. Run the football. Go play action fake, all of it. You know all of the rhetoric. Again, it's the same thing game in, game out. If we play our game, if we run the football, if we stick with the run, if Robert Griffin III isn't erratic, if he's hitting guys in stride and giving them a chance to catch the football, if they actually catch it when he throws it to them and it's an actual catchable football and they actually catch it, we're going to be in good shape. If we don't turn it over, this defense is playing good football right now. You say what you want. Yeah, they gave up 45 against Denver. I don't put that on the defense, not for 1 second. If we go out and we play our brand of football, I don't see why we can't beat the San Diego Chargers. They're a solid football team, but they're not the Denver Broncos. They're not the Kansas City Chiefs on the defensive side of football. They're not elite at any facet of the game. They're just really good. They're a solid football team, and they can be beaten. And they're on the road. They're coming to us. We got to take care of business. I think this is a game that we can get. If we don't get this game, our season is effectively over as of Sunday afternoon at 4:30. If we're not talking about a Redskin victory, our season is done. At 2-6, even though we're not out of it, I'm declaring the season done if we don't get this win. This is much like the Chicago game 2 weeks ago where we were 1-4 at the time, and we couldn't afford to go to 1-5, and we had to beat Chicago, and we got it done. This is much like that situation. We're 2-5. We can't afford to go to 2-6. We got to start climbing back into this thing. And like I said, we got to reel off 3 straight. And the San Diego Chargers are step 1 of a 3-step process to get back to 500. And so we got to have it. There's no other way to say it. I could get into numbers and in-depth breakdown. No need for all of that. We need to win this football game at home. Robert Griffin III has to play better. We got to run the football and stick with the run. We got to catch the football when it is a catchable football. Defensively, we got to come out and continue to play with that intensity that we played with against Chicago in the first half, against Denver in the first half, and to a certain extent, Denver in the third quarter. We got to play that brand of football defensively, continue to force turnovers, continue to get in the end zone off of turnovers, continue to play Redskins football, but minus the turnovers, minus the penalties. Don't hurt ourselves. Go out, create turnovers, score points, win the football game. That's what it's going to be against the San Diego Chargers if we want to come away with the victory. So if we can do all those things, we'll beat the Chargers. I have no doubt in my mind we're going to win this game. I have this penciled in as a W. The Chargers are good. They're not great. They can be had. I expect us to find a way to beat the San Diego Chargers on Sunday. So I'm going ahead and I'm penciling in us at 3-5. I don't know if you're on the bandwagon or not, but this one I think is a victory. I feel like we can get this one. Go ahead and pencil us in for a W against the Chargers. So if we get to 3-5, moving forward, we got the Vikings on Thursday Night Football. Quick turnaround, Thursday Night Football on the road against the Vikings. They're not a good football team. They don't even know who their quarterback is for this weekend's matchup against the Dallas Cowboys. They're struggling right now. that's a game that is definitely there for the taking. We got to stop Adrian Peterson, but that's for next week. You can't win 2 games at a time. We got the San Diego Chargers coming up on Sunday. We have to win that game, or else that Vikings game probably doesn't even matter because we'll be so far behind the Cowboys because they're winning this week. I don't know if you know, they got the Vikings. They're not losing that game at home. So we'll be so far behind the Cowboys at that point that you can forget about it. And so I said 9-7 is going to win this division. If we're 6 losses in the loss column and we're only in week 9, you can forget about it. Forget about getting to 9-7. We're not winning our last, 7 out of 8 games or whatever it is. We're not winning that many games to get to 9-7. So forget about that. We got to win this game. Then we got Minnesota. Then we got Philly. 3 winnable games. And the Eagles haven't won a home game in their last 10 outings at home. So we've got the games lined up for us to get back to 500. We just got to take care of business. But it all starts with San Diego. So we go from there to the state of the franchise. And right now we are an absolute abject disaster. We are a mess right now. It's not fun to be a Redskins fan right now with all the nonsense that's going on in the nation's capital right now. You look at Robert Griffin III. He's being taken to task for being too buddy-buddy with Daniel Snyder, and for good reason. Again, anytime there's not that buffer, there's not a barrier between player and owner, you probably are going to run into some issues. I feel like he's at a point right now where he has a little bit too much control and say so as the Redskins quarterback, and I feel like he's still talking too much. He's still saying things that aren't pertinent, that doesn't need to be said. He's giving the media fodder still. He doesn't understand it. Everything he says is under a microscope. It's going to be highlighted a little bit more so than anybody else on the team. He has to watch and pick and choose his words wisely. And I don't think he's doing that. He's just speaking from his mind, and sometimes you got to be able to have a buffer and say, you know what, no, I'm not going to say that. And sometimes, even when he says, I'm not going to tell you something, he says too much. He's still, I'm not going to tell you this because of this and that. Well, I still get a feel and a sense of how you really feel because of the way you said it. Just say, I don't really have a comment on that. And leave it alone. Move on. Not answering that question and move on to the next question. But again, it's his nature. It's in his DNA to just talk too damn much. So you've got that situation. You've got Pierre Garçon's comments. When you stink at passing, or when you suck at passing, you just suck at passing. And that was out of frustration. That was him saying, essentially, we can't catch the ball. We're not throwing the ball correctly. We're not doing anything right offensively in the passing game. And he's right. But again, there's ways to go about that. You don't say that to the media because they're going to take it and they're going to run with it. And of course, they threw that back into Robert's face, and he had a comment, and it's just unnecessary is what it is. And so you had to deal with that. Then you got to deal with Brandon Merriweather running his mouth about ACLs and what he is going to have to do now because they don't want him hitting high. He's got to hit low. And again, another unnecessary statement made by a Redskins player that brought more negative attention that wasn't necessary. Again, that's what we do to ourselves, self-inflicted wounds here. Then you have the whole name change thing. And I'm thinking about doing a show on that. Another Redskins fan that I'm very close to, BFG, I've pushed his show on this program, and I've told you, hey, check his page out, check his show out. I've told you to go subscribe to him. He's a really in-depth guy. And he was thinking about doing a Redskins program where he just focused in on the name change, but I haven't been able to get in contact with him about doing that. So I'm thinking about doing my own, and I think I'm going to just dedicate a segment to just the name change situation and how I feel about it, because I do have an opinion. I do have a voice on this one, and I think I'm ready to let it be heard. I just really wanted this thing to go away, but obviously it's not going to go away. So I think it's time for me to chime in on that. But you got that whole situation, so that's another off-the-field distraction. And then you got Kyle and Mike Shanahan under fire. This week we had the Albert Haynesworth thing. Again, digging up old dirt. We don't need to be talking about Albert Haynesworth right now. We don't need to get in a war of words with him. That's unnecessary. That's not going to do anything that's going to be beneficial to us. But you've got those two guys, the Shanahans, under fire for, Mike's going into the last year of his deal. And then you got Kyle, messing up the play calling, not doing a good job of keeping us balanced. And so we've just got a lot going on. And then there's the losing. And again, To me, winning is the antidote. The best smelling deodorant for the funk that's going on right now in the Washington Redskins locker room is winning. Winning, duh, you win, and guess what? All of this stuff gets swept under the rug. All of this stuff that I'm talking about, back page news. It's back page fodder is what it is if you're winning, because winning trumps everything. You start winning, and that deodorant that's going to cover and mask that funk is going to overpower all of the stuff that I've just mentioned. You start winning, and all anybody wants to talk about is what's going on the field and how we're going to find a way to get back in this divisional race and how we're going to find a way to claim what is ours, and that's this NFC East title. That's all anybody will talk about if we can get it done and start winning football games. But when you're losing, guess what? Everybody wants to detract attention away from losing. Nobody wants to talk about losing, so we'll talk about something else that's more entertaining and that's more headline grabbing. Hey, you lost another game, you're 2-6. That's ho-hum. Everybody knows you lost. How about we talk about something else that'll grab some attention and that will grab a headline and that will be a story? How about we talk about something else? And so you win, all that other stuff goes away. All we want to talk about is what's going on the field and how we're winning football games. You lose, and you don't want to talk about the losing. You don't want to focus in on another loss. So you find something else to dig and probe at. So just win. I mean, the state of the franchise right now is that it's an absolute mess. That's where it is right now. We've got too many off the field distractions. Some of it our own doing, some of it not. It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, just win. That's where we are. The state of the franchise is just win, baby, is essentially where we are. We're in Al Davis mode. Just win. If we start winning, all of the things that I've just mentioned, probably with the exception of the name change, will die off. We won't be discussing that again until the offseason. You start losing and you continue to lose, then all of these stories will be prevalent, and we'll have more of them sprout up here and there, and we'll just be dealing with a whole bunch of turmoil for the remainder of the season. So just win. That's where we are as a football team. And it starts, again, with the San Diego Chargers on Sunday. So that's basically all I have for you today. I don't want to keep you here too much longer. We lost to Denver. The prospects for the season, for me, still remain the same. We can win this division, but we got to win 3 in a row, get back to 500, and then we get back to even keel. Then we can start talking about making some noise in this division. That all starts with the San Diego Chargers. And the state of the franchise is that we just need to win. And that, again, that all goes back to Sunday's tilt against the San Diego Chargers. We just need to win. Beat the Chargers. Then we can talk about beating the Vikings. Then we can talk about beating the Philadelphia Eagles. And then we can talk about being back to 500. So that's what it is for me right now. I am a Redskins fan, etched in burgundy and gold. My Redskins spirit will never die. My Redskins spirit will never fold. Until we meet again, hail to the Redskins. See you on Monday or Tuesday, depending on how I feel and how bad this thing is or how good it is. See you next week. I know that for sure, as we break down the San Diego Chargers game. And I'm telling you right now, it will be Victory Monday. I'm banking that one. Go ahead and put that one in the bank. You can go ahead and cash that check. We're going to beat the San Diego Chargers on Sunday. Don't know how, but we're going to get it done. I'll see you next week when I'm breaking down that win and looking forward. And it's going to be a quick turnaround because we got Minnesota on Thursday, so I can't waste a lot of time. I got to come to you early in the week, so you'll probably, you know what? Matter of fact, I'm guarantee you'll see me on Monday. Go get them, fellas.
The Redskins Report.